Let's go!
Owls win!
Big
What is
dogs.
going on, everybody? It is a victory Saturday night in Boca Raton as the
Even my
Owls
dog hype.
travel
Even my
all the
dog
way
hype.
to
Even
Houston to
my
get
dog
the
hype.
win, Blake.
Let's
Blake,
go.
how are
Even
you
my dog
feeling
hype.
after the victory?
Even my dog hype. Even my dog hype. Let's go. Huge W for them Owls, baby. Huge win. That's exactly what we like to see out of those FAU Owls. Give me that B, T, A to the
And
right
it's not
Owls.
even BTA, it's VTA. Velt 2
Belt
at
in.
Eden,
Belt.
Velt
Belt.
Camp.
Belt.
Let's
Come on.
go, baby. Your FAU Owls win 27-21. Blaker, what are your instant thoughts after today's game?
You know, as Meek Mill said, I used to pray for times like this. FAU goes on the road as an underdog and gets the W. And you know what that means, baby. FAU. FAU. Let's go. Yeah, I'm honestly pretty happy about this win. Offense puts up 27. I did say before the game. I think that's enough points. My score prediction was pretty close. I predicted 28-24, 27-21. So I'd say that's pretty decent. I had a good expectation out of this FAU offense, and they did reach the standards. I'm happy with how Terrell and Shields Dutton played. They did have enough run game to really keep this offense going. And obviously, we knew this was going to be an air raid offense. Assad Wasim and Easton Messer got their fair share of targets and catches. And Velkamp played a great game. I'm pretty happy with this FAU win, and I think we can definitely, hopefully, continue this momentum into next week.
Yeah, Blake, we have 24 viewers right now on this victory
Let's go.
Saturday night. Let's go, Owls win, baby. This show's just getting started. Stay around, everyone. What a win. Let's start out with Caden Velkamp, the best quarterback in the American Conference, showing he can do it tonight. Blake, what are your thoughts on Caden's performance?
Yeah, I mean, he did what he did what we expected him to do the second we saw that he was announced to come be an Owl. Through for a couple passing touchdowns today. It's exactly what we like to see about him. He also used his legs a little bit, which is exactly what we heard from Kittley before the season. And in the press conference, we were very happy to see him keep using his legs because of his big Josh Allen-like frame. Big win for the Owls. I mean, really, we needed a win over an FBS opponent. I think this win does a lot for the program. Kittley getting his first win over an FBS team, conference opponent, especially on the road. Yeah, overall, I think Velkamp definitely the star of the show, obviously, just through the air and through the ground. If he's able to keep managing his offense the way he is, I think FAU can take the success into other games throughout the season.
Yeah, and Blake, that throw to Assad Wasim early in the game, he absolutely dropped it right in the bucket, proving why he was the player of the year last year in his conference. He was absolutely amazing. 290 yards, 3 touchdowns thrown. Absolute stellar performance there
Very impressive.
from Caden Velkamp. One of those touchdowns to Assad Wasim. The other two to Michael Kirch, the tight end. Khalil Brantley out. Doesn't matter. Michael Kirch stepping up after the medical retirement. He had 3 or 4 catches. He had one late there that was huge for the Owls to get a first down. And his other 2 were touchdowns. Absolutely amazing. The Owls threw the ball almost on every single play, but we did before this game, but we did see Xavier Terrell a lot today.
Yeah.
20 carries. He did have that one breakout rush where he got maybe 11, 12 yards, which was nice to see. He really iced this game for the Owls, him and Caden Velkamp's legs. What are some of the positives we see from the running game, Blake?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, without Sands being at full strength, though we needed Shields, Dutton, or Terrell to step up. And I think he did exactly that. Late in that game, having that 8-yard run to kind of seal the deal was huge for the Owls to kind of close that one out because the ground game has been one of the weaknesses of this FAU team. But having a running back and being able to run and mix it in with the pass obviously allows Kittley in this offense to do a lot of different things. So if this run game stays effective, you got to keep defenses looking out for the run game to open up that pass. And if it stays being effective, I think FAU has a good shot of being one of the top offenses in the American Conference come the end of this season. And I think we're going to get into this a little bit later on the show, but allowing 21 points to Rice, I'd say that's a solid performance from our defense. Obviously, we'd like to see a little bit better there. I think we definitely could have held him, especially letting them kind of get back into it a little later in the game. But as long as our offense is able to produce enough points to end up winning a football game, I think I can't be too mad with how these Owls perform. Once again, I think I can't say this enough. An FBS win on the road is an accomplishment for any first-year head coach, especially the youngest one in college football. I think, the thought before the season with FAU is that if this team gets rolling and gets hot, they can be really dangerous because once they figure out how this offense works and gets everyone on the same page, it can be super duper effective. So I'm really excited to see how they take this momentum into the coming weeks. Obviously, a big win against Rice, but I think this FAU team has a lot more to look forward to, especially with those two opponents, USF and Tulane, on the schedule.
Yeah, Blake, and not only is it a win on our road, it is Zach Kittley's first FBS win. Let's clap it up for Coach Kittley. The beginning of his career, it's just getting started. Kittley proved me wrong. He certainly proved you wrong. 4-point underdog. Zach Kittley getting this team ready against the triple option. Not only does Kittley deserve credit, Coach Dewhurst and the defensive staff really deserve a lot of credit for being able to stop that triple option and being able to contain it. On the defensive side of the ball, my MVP, Chris Keys Jr., 2 pass breakups. One of them would have been a touchdown, a few tackles. Blake, how are you feeling after watching that defense?
I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, obviously, that FAU D-line made some big plays stopping the run. I mean, that's exactly what we needed to see by them. I said before the game, minding the gaps is what we need to do to get the win overall. Now, obviously, getting some production out of our secondary was huge. We knew when Rice wanted to throw the ball, that was when the Owls needed to step up and make plays, force Rice to throw. And I think the Owls did exactly that, and we saw why we needed to make Rice throw, because our secondary is so talented. I think it's our deepest position on the defense, maybe other than the D-line. Letting our secondary work, it's going to be crucial for the rest of the year.
It is for sure, but this defense was physical. Leon Hart going out and taking a bunch of hits. Blake, you mentioned that if FAU wants to win, they have to be physical. And we saw physical football in the trenches, on the front seven. Absolute superb play. And that is what we want to see. We don't want to see a soft football team. We didn't see that. We saw the FAU team that we all wanted to see at the beginning of the year. Absolutely amazing. Also, something else that I really like, prior to this game, in terms of the receiver room, it was all, Jay-Sean Platt or Easton Messer. I feel like we got everyone involved here. Michael Kirch, Xavier Terrell, Jay-Sean Platt, to Dom Henry, Jamari Sands, Easton Messer, Saad Wasim. FAU had 7 different receivers get a catch. Yes, Messer was the primary target. Again, love that connection. But that Wasim touchdown was so nice. I can't get over it. Absolutely dropped right into his hands on the floor vert right there. Blake, I am feeling so high. What does this mean for the direction of the program?
Look, I think, this definitely it gives FAU fans a lot of hope. I think this is going to expand the lifetime of Coach Kittley being around and involved in this program. I think the general feeling about head coach, I got to give him 3 years. And I think, having a nice win here to start it off is definitely good. I think FAU, if they make a bowl game this year, get a couple more wins, you got 2 right now. We're 2 and 3, correct? You got 2 right now. You go 3 and 3.
Not only are we 2 and 3, but we're 1 and 1 in conference. That's how we start out conference play.
Exactly.
The Owls actually control their own destiny to a conference championship. We'll get into all those scenarios later in the show, but it is possible. We just got to win out. And seeing what this team did last night, tonight.
Yeah.
I think the sky's the limit. Let's hear what the announcers were saying about the FAU defense. Shout out to Robbie LaStella for this clip here. We'll take a look on it, and I'll get your thoughts on it, Blake.
For how they play football at FAU, you better get ready because buckle your chin strap. Make sure your shoulder pads are tight and good because this defense is coming to hit you and run through you and set the tone. And this young man right here, Bill Camp.
Shout out Robbie LaStella for the quote. Here it is, Blake. If you're not ready for how they play football at FAU, you better get ready.
Yeah.
Buckle your chin strap. Make sure your shoulder pads are on nice tight because this defense is coming to hit you and run through you. What are your thoughts on that statement? Again, shout out to Robbie LaStella.
Look, I said coming into this game on our preview show that this is going to be a hard-nosed football game. I said going into it, this D-line, these linebackers, these corners, it's going to need to be you come down, you got to knock someone out. You got to go give them a little slap in the face, little hit in the little shoulder pad tackle, little big body stuff. And that's exactly what I said was going to happen, and it did. Look, this FAU defense, if they're flying around there, because we got some quick people, from the corners to linebackers, even inside, there's people that can move. Even the bigger guys got a little bit of speed on them. And I said if they're going to come down and make plays, it's going to be a physical game. So hearing that from an announcer, absolutely huge. And obviously this offense is going to work around Veldkamp, his ability to throw the ball, his ability to move the ball downfield. It was and still is the make or break for this FAU team. Now, this FAU team is able to keep up this high level of play. It's going to be absolutely massive for the future of this team in this season. Look, you're in your first year of a new head coach. This is the establishment on the program you want to build. And if FAU comes in playing hard-nosed football, aggressive football, and tough defense, I can only imagine what the future is going to be like for this FAU team because you got a fresh slate right now. You're in your first 5 games of this season. You set the tone right now against Rice, saying we're going to come out and play our brand of football. We're going to be tough. We're going to be flying around. We're going to be making plays left and right. And I think when FAU does that and FAU plays as a team and aggressive, sky's the limit for this defense because there's so many talented people out there.
Speaking of this defense and the talent of it, shout out Eric Brantley Jr., definitely the defensive MVP on the front 7. I know I mentioned at Keys was the as a whole defensive MVP, but the fact that Eric Brantley was able to get after Chase Jenkins time and time again, whether he was rolling out right or left, he was able to get sacks. He was able to stop Jenkins whenever he would run and make those key hits. You gotta love to see it, Blake. Let's go over and talk a little bit about this destiny that FAU has. And after this, we'll get into some more, in-depth things. But I want to ask you, before we get into anything too much in specific, what does it mean that this FAU team still technically has a chance to win this conference after starting this poor?
Yeah, I mean, look, we knew going into the season that Maryland game was going to be tough and that Memphis game was going to be tough. We definitely knew that this first couple games of the season were going to be challenging. Obviously, you hate losing to FIU. That was a game that I think FAU did not expect to lose.
But it's non-conference.
It is non-conference, so that's what I'm saying. It doesn't hurt you as much as any other loss, or especially Maryland FIU. So I think those 2 losses might have actually been better for the team than coming here in conference play and losing a little later. Yeah, I mean, you got a really good opportunity to make this conference championship. You have USF, who is currently undefeated in conference play. You have Tulane, who's also undefeated in conference play on the schedule. FAU's 1-1 if you win the rest of your games in your conference. They are definitely a shoo-in for that conference championship. I think that's a FAU team, though. They're going to be taking it 1 week at a time. They're going to be building up each stepping stone, hopefully, to the top of this conference by the end of the season. FAU can grow off of this win so much just based on how their defense played and how Veldkamp played. If everyone stays healthy and everyone keeps playing this high level of football, the sky is the limit for this FAU team. Now, with that being said, USF and Tulane are very, very talented football teams, and we're going on the road for both of them. So I don't expect those games to be easy by any means. But if you give this FAU team a chance and FAU plays their full potential, I can definitely envision a world where FAU possibly makes a run in the American Conference.
I can as well. And Blake, we've talked a lot about the positives. let's talk a couple bit of the negatives, because with the positives, there comes negatives, and we have to be honest with a few critiques. Keaton Velkamp, man, you got to protect the football. That turnover was certainly costly, Blake, for sure. Also, Blake, another big thing was that the running game didn't get going like I wanted to go. Rice's pass defense came in second in the American Conference. I wanted to run this football better. And Xavier a carry, 20 carries for 68 yards. That's not ideal if you are at
No.
Caden Shields done, and I expect him to get way more production. I love that Caden Bell can't use his 6'6" Josh Allen build. That's what we love to see. I expected also us to get a little bit more involved with those jet sweeps, jet touch passes with Messer, because that's what we saw in a couple of the scrimmages. So I find the running game to be a huge negative. Did you find any other negatives, Blake?
Yeah, you mentioned the run game. I think being without Sands at full health definitely hurt that a little bit. But I mean, we did say countless times going into the season that this was supposed to be the three-headed monster running back room with Terrell and Shields, Dutton, and Sands. And I think they've definitely been a big disappointment throughout the season. Now, obviously, it doesn't all go on them. Our run protection has just been bad overall on the offensive line. Pass protection overall, I think it was pretty decent tonight. Obviously, Velkamp's able to pass as well as he can. Need the people up front doing a good job. Tight end obviously was a standout position tonight. I think really it's really for FAU, and I think it's always been this since the start of the season. It's the chunk plays that kill you. And FAU, that's where they've been struggling. It's been letting up the deep ball. It's been letting up the big plays that allow teams to move downfield very quickly. And that definitely happened at some point tonight against Rice. So overall, FAU, they got to keep trying to limit the chunk plays. And I know it's a part of football. Every team's looking to kind of torch you with a big run or a big pass. But FAU just has to do a better job of staying disciplined in those spots, especially as the games get close. I mean, this was a 6-point game. This game could have gone either way near the end of that fourth quarter. But obviously, FAU was able to run out the clock and make some big stops to close it out. Really, the run game and just the chunk plays overall as a defense.
I agree with you 100%. I still think the run defense kind of needs to improve a little more. We knew what Rice was going to do, which was run the football. We let up 129 yards to their lead back, Quentin Jackson, and a touchdown. The secondary was absolutely superb. I don't think I've ever seen FAU secondary play any better than that. Only let up 12 completions to Jenkins, and I know they don't pass the ball a lot, but still. Look at the receiving yards that Rice had. Outside of Aaron Turner, we didn't let anyone else really exploit our secondary. And at that, Aaron Turner only had 50 receiving yards on 5 catches. We only let up a total of 136 receiving yards. Very good defense there from the Owls in the secondary. I think that's a huge positive. We do need to do better at stopping the run, and specifically that front seven. Got to get better at run defense. Coach Kittley said it's eye discipline. It's all about that. There were a few missed tackles, but still, the physicality to me makes up for it. Blake, you mentioned this game could have went either way, and we were maybe 2 plays away of this being a sad episode, and that's just college football as a reality. It's a game of inches. It's a game of differences. But how big is this win? How big is it to go 2-3? I know you mentioned momentum and not letting this team get hot, but just for the locker room in general, for the team itself, how big is the win?
Look, I think it's huge. You want to get a W on the board. You want to get a W on the schedule. It really just helps you out entirely for the future of the program. Even my dog. I got my dog on here earlier. I'm bringing the dog back. He's hyped for this FAUW, okay? But overall, to really get the locker room going, to really get the guys all being together. You got a nice plane ride home to get a little hype, talk with the boys, really vibe. I mean, I personally saw it as me and you were walking out of the Memphis game. We saw that Memphis bus and that Memphis group leaving the stadium, and they were very excited to get the W on the road. And I imagine this FAU team is maybe just as or even more excited to get a W under their new head coach, who I think a lot of the guys tend to rally around. Getting a win, obviously you learn a lot from losing, but you learn a lot from winning as well, and you learn a lot about your team and about the potential that you have. So I think, just as a group, winning makes you tighter. And I think this group is definitely going to be able to grow and learn as the season goes on. That all you needed there, a first dub on the road, get the vibes going, get the bus playing some music, get a little Kodak, some Rod Wave, some good vibes, some NBA. Hey, it's going to be a good plane ride home is all I'm going to say.
It definitely is, and I definitely see NBA young boy, get that music rolling up on the bus ride to the plane and on the plane home. Blake, something else is FAU really controlled the line of scrimmage. Rice was only able to accomplish one drive of 5 minutes or longer in today's game, and that's huge because that's showing that Rice, their normal game plan is to run the football, limit the possessions for the opposing team's offense. They weren't
Yeah,
able to do that. Now, against FAU, their average time of possession was just 3 minutes and 27 seconds.
that is huge.
That is absolutely huge for the Owls, for their defense to be able to get off the field quick and make sure that Rice gets as many possessions as possible because they are vulnerable, and to make sure that Caden Belkin immediately gets the football back. Such a huge victory. Can't explain how big of a must-win is. Blake, prior to today's game, the expectation was a bowl game. Kind of, we might have not even been thinking a bowl game, maybe like that 4-win mark. But after today, does the expectation change a little more? Is there more pressure to make a bowl for Kittley?
I don't know about pressure. I think it just kind of affirms that the mission was always to make a bowl game. The mission is still, I think, to Kittley and his entire FAU team is win the conference. You still got a nice conference slate in front of you. You have a home game next week that's in the conference, so I think that'll be good for FAU. Obviously, excited to see what time that ends up being at, because that obviously weather could be a factor for FAU, which always helps playing down here in the heat in Florida. Last 2 home games have been kind of at night, and that hasn't really been a factor that FAU has been able to use to their advantage against a team like Memphis that may not have been as prepared to play in the heat. But yeah, I think that, I think the goal definitely may still be win the conference, get to a bowl game. I think get to a bowl game is still realistic. I think we can definitely find 4 more wins on this schedule overall. So I'm excited to see what the FAU does. Obviously you got to win a couple more times. I think we can definitely see this FAU program making some big strides. So I'm excited to see how they end up using this win as a spark for the rest of the season, because I think definitely going, like I said, road wins in college football are big. Obviously, Rice is the most known environment for being a loud, rowdy stadium, but you're still going out of your comfort zone a little bit. So I'm proud of this FAU team. I'm proud of Coach Kittley. Going back to his hometown, he's got a lot of friends and family there, so I imagine that must have been a great morale boost, especially in the middle of the season. Away from some of that, get to go back around people that you know and that care about you and are cheering for you at kind of a home game, homecoming for Coach Kittley. I'm really proud of this FAU team. I know there's a lot of guys also from Houston there because that's a good recruiting base for college football in general. So it's a great win for FAU.
Yeah, Blake, we got 75 people strong in today's live stream. If you're watching, drop some comments in the YouTube chat. Drop some comments if you're watching over on X down below. We're going to get to all the live chat comments here momentarily. So if you got thoughts, we're going to be reacting to it. Blake, FAU's got UAB next weekend. How big of a game is that going to be to get back to 500? That's a really must-win game because UAB is definitely one of the weaker teams in conference.
Yeah, I completely agree. UAB is a game that the Owls must get the job done in. I think this UAB team, obviously there's talent. There's talent everywhere in the American Conference. But, I think FAU's got it. You're coming back home after a win. I think Kittley's going to have time to really sit and think about what went well against Rice, because you finally got to see what your team can do against a more evenly matched opponent. Obviously, going up against FAMU, you got to saw this offense succeed through the deep ball and kind of through that way against, obviously, a team that we were supposed to beat, and we did. But you get to find out a lot about what works and how you're able to win. You got to see Coach Kittley manage the clock in a game-winning situation, which was very good for him as well as a head coach, because you really don't do a lot of clock management as a coordinator, from what I know about coaching football. That really comes down to the head coach and maybe an assistant head coach or people up top. So it's good to see how he managed the clock. I'm glad to see, obviously, a successful last drive running the ball out. It's overall a great win. I think the future of this FAU team is bright with Coach Kittley there, and UAB definitely is a must win. I feel like you got to win until USF at this point. I feel like all those games are must wins because if you go into USF, into a rivalry game coming off a good string of wins, I think that gives this FAU team a hell of a lot of confidence to go and possibly pull a big upset and put the nation on notice that FAU's coming and we're not going to stop until we reach the top of this college football totem pole.
Blake, what you're saying is making me so happy. We are not going to stop till we reach the top, baby. I am going to go to bed happy tonight. Coach Kittley's first FBS win. Fact that it comes on the road in his hometown just makes it that much better, Blake. I am absolutely ecstatic. Let's get into some player grades here on the show, just a couple, and then we'll get into our last segment where we'll talk about the rest of the American in a couple of their games today. Let's start with QB1, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who has absolutely turned around. He looks like a different player, a different person in the last two football games. Caden Velkamp.
Gotta give him an A. I mean, you winning quarterback threw 2 touchdowns, looked pretty great today, aside from that one turnover. Obviously, you want to see Caden hold on to the ball. I think he did a good job of that last week against Memphis. I think he's still, obviously, he's an experienced quarterback, but you're still learning. There's still a learning curve. Velkamp, you're going to get an A from me tonight. I'm very glad that we won this game, and a lot of it was because of your performance, using the legs as well. Caden Velkamp, you're him. Velt to ass. Give him an A.
Man, Blake, an A for Velkamp. I feel like I want to go A, but I am going to go A minus just because of the one pick. Still, 125 QBR, 3 touchdowns, absolute dot to Assad Wasim where he threw it right in that bucket. Can't get over that. The 2 touchdowns at Kirch, absolutely insane. I love that connection. When you have a tight end who's 6'6" and you can just throw it up to him, Velkamp 6'6", Kirch 6'6", that connection is on point, on the dot. Love it as well. A minus for Velkamp. If he protects the football for me, it's an A. Well, we're going to give him an A minus. Let's go over to the receiving room. Man, the receivers were good. A total of 5 targets that weren't complete, 10 targets that weren't complete. I was looking at Messer alone. So 10 targets weren't complete, but 22 of those 33 targets were complete. So that's very solid for me.
Yeah.
And we did have 3 receivers get a touchdown. Assad Wasim, absolutely amazing routes. Easton Messer always getting involved with those screen passes, getting the yards after catch. Blake, what are we grading those receivers?
Look, this receiving room, I think as we go along the season, you're going to see how well-rounded it is. And now that we're getting the tight ends involved, I noticed last week against Memphis, there were some big catches that our tight end room made. And I'm glad to see that they're getting more involved in this passing game by Kittley. I know I'm going to throw this in there, but like Darren Waller for the Dolphins has made a huge impact, obviously a Dolphins fan. And you see what a good tight end can do to a football team. Receiving room, I feel like you got to give him an A. I feel like you were having Easton Messer go for over 100 yards. You got Wasim right behind him at around the 90-yard mark. Multiple people going for a touchdown. If you grade the quarterback an A, receivers got to get an A as well. Great game by them overall. They are the strength of this offense. I know we mentioned how much Caden Velkamp is great, but these receivers make him look even better. Give him an A.
100% agree with you. A for me from the receivers. Only 10 targets dropped. Don't know what's going on with J.R. Wilson. Fill us in down below. Not sure why. Haven't seen too much production from him. But despite that, Dom Henry has been great. Tayshaun Platt's been great. Assad Wasim, Easton Messer. Kirch. We're going to include the tight ends in that. Kirch has been the best player to me in tonight's game. I'm giving Kirch an A+++ S tier even when we want to consider that. Great performance there from Kirch. Let's get into this front 7.
Look, I mean, obviously, It's good that we got the win, but I don't think you can let a running back go for 140 and a touchdown and win a lot of the times because that's a little bit too many rushing yards out of one person just for me. Nevertheless, a team with a rushing quarterback and a triple option offense as well. But I think, they made the stops when they needed to. They got after the quarterback a little bit. Um, I'm floating between that B minus range. I'm in a good mood right now. I'm gonna give them the B, but this FAU D line, um, you know, you got to step up that front seven. You got to step up and make plays. You got to make tackles. You got to be hard nosed. And I think we saw that in some aspects of the game, but overall, you got to do it for 55 minutes, and hopefully, we can see this FAU defense proceed to do that as the year goes along.
Blake, usually in these grades, I'm a little bit harsher than you on some of these position groups, but not with this front seven tonight. I'm giving them a B plus. They played pretty solid to me. You mentioned it, but still, 350 rushing yards last week to just 160 this week. That's almost cutting it. That is cutting it in more than half. Great performance by Najon Barber. Leon Hart was physical tonight. Love this front seven. Love the way they performed. We're going to give the secondary A pluses, both of us. So why do we even need to grade that? But let's go to Coach Dewhurst, defensive coordinator. He's received a lot of slander on social media for just the way the defense has performed, giving up 50 plus to Memphis, giving up 35 plus to Maryland, 35 plus to FIU. Give us Coach Dewhurst his credit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, let up only 21 tonight. That's a pretty good total for the Owls against an FBS lowest. They've let it to an FBS opponent throughout the entire season. Although I think the 55 against Memphis obviously got blown out of proportion due to that big fourth quarter. He realistically probably would have only let up like 35 or something in that element if we didn't totally collapse in that fourth quarter. The FIU game was a shootout on the Maryland game. They also racked it up a little bit on us. But overall, I'm happy. If you let up 21 points, I think you limit the strength of Rice's team, which is the run game. And that's what we knew they were going to do going into it. If we limited the run game, I think I said the number was around 250 or 200 yards. That if we were able to stay under that, I think FU has a good shot of winning. And he did accomplish that tonight. You can go back to the tape. I'm pretty sure I said 250, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, under 250 rushing yards to a Rice team that has been able to rack it up on some other teams. A good job by Coach Dewhurst overall getting that defense locked in. But you're going up against a different offense next week. So I want to see how he's able to adjust from week to week against a team that may pass the ball a little bit more than Memphis and Rice will.
Yeah, Blake, 100%. Not sure if you said 200 or 250, but I do know you said that this FAU offense is going to have to score 35 points to win. And they didn't score 35 points, and they did win. Your prediction didn't have them scoring 35 points, but you had them winning. But you did say in Thursday's episode that was going to be the case. And despite that, the defense stepped up. Coach Dewhurst didn't need this offense to score 35 points. Coach Dewhurst called a fabulous game. Give Coach Dewhurst his flowers, ladies and gentlemen. What a performance by him calling this defense. First-time defensive play caller, and he's done a great job. A plus from Coach Dewhurst. Blake, last one here, Coach Zach Kittley. First FBS win, baby.
Offensive play caller got the dub. He's obviously, like I mentioned, in his hometown of Houston. A lot of family and friends around. You can't help but give him that big A plus. Congratulations to Coach Kittley. Great guy. Great to the media. And I think he has a great future here at FAU. Give him an A plus. Get on that plane back home, and let's get ready to take down UAB in Boca next week.
Enjoy the victory, Coach Kittley. Hopefully your family, you get to say hi, you get the congrats you deserve from them. Blake, let's go over to the scores in the American Conference. Again, 110 viewers right now. Clap it up to all 110 people live in this stream, Blake. Love to see you. Love to see the Owl Nation. We are the number one FAU podcast. We are giving you the live reaction before anyone else. All these other podcasts, they're waiting till midweek and not giving you the live reaction. We're giving it to you 5 seconds after the game. Ken Levica does a great job, but he does it Sunday morning. We give it to you 5 minutes after the game. That's why you need to hit that subscribe button and leave a like on today's video and today's live stream, baby. American Conference, Blake. We got UAB losing to Army. We should beat UAB next week. It's a good sign for us. Navy beating Air Force.
In a close one.
Surprised Air Force won that one. You called it, Blake. Temple upsetting UTSA on the road. What a call there from Blake. I was trying to tell Blake there's no chance at that. Well, Blake with the W pick. And then we both picked FAU over Rice. And then Memphis and Tulsa is currently going on right now. A weird 8 p.m. kick there from them. But Memphis is destroying Tulsa, as we both imagine. What are your takeaways? And Blake, did you go 6-0 this week?
Yo, I did go 6-0 in the conference this week. Shout out to my ball knowledge for getting me to where I am today. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously, a lot of what we predicted comes true. A lot of pretty much what the spread said came true, besides for that UTSA game. Navy and Air Force. Oh my gosh. I mean, that game should not have been as close as Vegas thought and as I thought. I thought that game was going to be pretty much just don't even watch it. Like, let it go. Watch the little prisoner exchange before the game. Maybe check the score a couple times. But Navy did not play their best game. Maybe Air Force played a really good game. Yeah, honestly, good week for the conference. Getting a lot of wins. I think pretty much everything happened that we expected to happen, whether it was winning big or winning close. But I think this week overall is good for FAU. I think there's definitely a lot to build on from seeing how these other teams in the conference are playing and hopefully getting to watch some good tape from these games and seeing how FAU could possibly find ways to beat them. I think watching this Air Force tape against Navy will be huge for when we travel up there a little later in the season, because a 7-point win over Air Force is not what, or was it 3 point or 7 points? Was it 17-14 or 17-10? Yeah, that was not what Navy envisioned going into this game. So I think this FAU team is going to be able to look at that tape and really find a way to use what Air Force did against Navy.
Yeah, but that is a military academy matchup, so we know it's probably going to be closer. College Game Day featured that game as one of their games that they picked, and we had a clean sweep besides Desmond Howard all going Navy, I believe it was, in that one. And Navy did pull it out close. I think in this conference, there's a clear consensus top 5. You got Memphis, Tulane, North Texas, USF, and Navy. Those are the 5 teams that either have one loss or are undefeated. But 6 and 7, we don't know who 6-7 are right now. And that's like a toss-up for 6 through 10. You could put anyone. So, Blake, rank who you think 1 to 5 between those 5, and then give us your 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I feel like you got to go with Memphis. I think they're undefeated right now, haven't lost yet. Although their schedule was a little bit weaker than Tulane or USF's. So I'll give Memphis the nod at number 1. I feel like USF's win in the Swamp is still really impressive, especially coming off of how UF beat Texas. UF is a crazy, weird college football team, though. They're having a ridiculous year. So I'll give USF 2, put Tulane at 3, and I think North Texas and Navy will slide in there at 4 and 5. Now, getting into the 7 and 6, or the 6 and 7, as the kids like to say nowadays. Gosh,
6 through 8.
Yeah, 6 through 8. Jeez, I feel I want to have FAU somewhere in this list of 3 teams.
But I think you got to put Temple in there.
You have to put Temple in there. Obviously, getting a win over UTSA. FAU and Temple could definitely fall into that 6 through 8 category. I still think Army's a pretty decently talented team as well. Obviously, Charlotte is not really in that category. UAB isn't really in that category. I'll go Army, FAU, and Temple in that 6, 7, and 8. I'll put Army at the 7, put Temple at the 8, and FAU at the 6.
FAU at the 6, ladies and gentlemen. That's how big a win can change momentum heading into the game. no FBS wins, a win on the road against the Nerds, and now we are the 6th best team in the conference. What a fucking win, baby. On the road against Rice. I can't contain my emotions, baby. I gotta stand up. Let's go, Blake. Let's go. Final thoughts, Blake. Final thoughts.
Look, you got a long season ahead of you, but I think this FAU team is built for the long haul. Getting the win over the FBS opponent is huge for our momentum. Let's go beat UAB next week. Let's keep this win streak going, and let's go into Tampa
Can
as
we
the
get an
underdog.
FAU champ, Blake? FAU.
FAU,
FAU.
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 Yo, I mean, honestly, look. The support in Boca, I feel like, is going to be growing after this win. I'll be down there against UAB for sure. Let's see how these FAU students are going to be reacting. I think this FAU team has a lot of potential. Let's go keep winning these football games, keeping them close, keep dogging it out, keep winning, keep dogfighting, keep playing hard-nosed football, keep playing Zach Kittley football. FAU team has a chance to possibly go far and make a run. Let's go, Owls.
Let's go, Owls, baby. That's going to be it for Blake Quillen and JJ Metz. In the comments, rate Coach Kittley A, B, C, D, E, or F. We'll be reacting to them on our show tomorrow. But thank you guys so much for watching. It's an Owls victory. Enjoy it with your family, with your friends. What a win, baby. We'll see y'all in the next one. And as always, go Owls.